Hey guys, I'm April from Giggle Glitter Graphics, and today we're assembling a Cursed Objects field kit. This is a free project that went out to my email list today, but if you're not on that list and you'd like to join us, you can find a link in the description down below to sign up and have this project sent to you immediately. While this kit is fun on its own, if you have picked up my Cursed Antiquities box kit, then this is the perfect addition. This is exactly the kind of standard issue gear that Agent Hale, the main character in the Cursed Antiquities story, would carry into the field. So let's assemble this project together. This project has 6 pages, 5 sheets of pieces, and 1 backer paper. All of the pages are printed on cardstock. I use 110 pound 199 GSM cardstock, and the backer paper only needs to be printed on the reverse side of the sheets with the larger panels on them, and you can see that I have done that here. Supplies that you're going to need are scissors to cut everything out, liquid glue with a fine point, and an optional glue stick. I like to have a bone folder to sharpen all of my creases. And then you have the option of putting vintage photo distress ink on the edges of everything, which I've already done. So let's start by assembling the body of our field kit. You're going to need both large panels, and you're going to need this strip here with the stitching on it. There are a couple of other similar pieces that just have one row of stitching. We're going to get to those in a bit, but for now, we're just going to use this one. And this one is going to need to be folded in half. This is going to serve as the hinge for our 2 pieces so that this can open up. So all I've done is folded this directly in half. I matched up the corners, and I'm going to give this a sharp crease with my bone folder. And then we're going to attach this to the top of the field kit panels. So I'm going to open this back up so you can see. We're going to glue, it doesn't matter which way this goes. We're going to glue this right to the top. So I'm going to grab my liquid glue. I prefer my Beacon Fabri-Tac. It dries really quickly. You can use whichever glue you prefer. And I'm only going to glue on one of these 2 tabs. I've put a little ink here so you can see my crease and where I'm putting my glue. And I am just staying on one side of this crease. And then I'm going to flip this over, place this right on top, and then I'm going to fold this up, push up into the crease, and then fold over and press down. So now this is attached to the top, and we can repeat that for the other side. So now I'm going to turn this way. I'm going to glue on the other side of our little hinge. I'm going to take this panel and we're going to glue it to the blank end, not the bottom that already has stitching on it. And I'm just going to flip that over, push it up into the crease with this held up at a 90-degree angle. Make sure my left and right sides are lined up. And then we're going to fold all the way over. This needs to be able to close. And I'm going to check everything. It looks pretty good. So there's the back. Here is the front. And then this should flip open and close. Next, we've got some pockets to put in. There's this larger pocket with a key pattern on it, this more decorative pocket, and then this one that says BEA, that stands for Bureau of Esoteric Affairs. This is a little made up magical bureau that I came up with for my story. And we're going to start with the key pocket, and this is where you need the fine point on your glue. I'm just going to flip this over, and I'm going to put a thin line of glue on all 3 straight sides. I'm going to leave the angle side unglued because that is the top of our pocket. So just a thin line of glue all the way around. And then I'm going to take, this is the bottom panel, and I'm going to turn this just so it's a little easier for me as a right-handed person. And I'm going to line this up with the bottom of that back panel and attach it like that. And then I'm just going to smooth that down. I'm going to try to make sure everything is straight. If you get off just a little bit, don't worry. Once this is dry, you can trim things up or add a little distress ink and everything will look just fine. So this is meant to be fun, not stressful. So we're going to grab our second pocket. This one is going to go right over top of the first. Same thing, glue on the 3 straight sides, nice thin line of glue right around those edges. And I'm going to line that up at the bottom. and press that into place. And finally, we have our little BEA pocket. And this is going to go in right at the bottom. So again, we're going to glue on 3 sides. We're going to hold at the top, so our text is right side up. And then just flip that over. Nice thin line of glue. And then line that up right at the bottom. And then I want to pull this so that you can see the top. And we have this band here. This band is going to go right up over that tab at the top and then straight down the middle. Once this is in place, we are going to go over this with these smaller stitching bands. There's going to be one here, and then there's going to be a second one that goes down here just for another decorative element. So have these on hand, but let's start with this one. So this is going to serve as a belly band. It's going to hold a couple of cards. So all we want to do is glue each side, just each end of the band, about 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch, probably closer to 1/2 an inch. We want to make sure that it is down pretty well, but you also want to leave room to put your cards in. So it's a little bit of a balancing act. If you put too much glue, we can always open that back up with our scissors. And if you don't put enough glue, you can always kind of sneak a little extra glue under the edges. So don't worry about it and do your best. But I went with, I think that was about 1/2 an inch of glue. So I've got glue at both ends, and then this is all open through here. Now I'm going to grab one of my bands, and this is just going to go in as a decorative element to kind of finish off the inside. So what I'm going to do is glue this down, but we need to make sure this isn't going to mess up our crease in the middle. So what I like to do is you're going to line this up at the bottom of this panel, and there will be a little gap in between. I'm going to smooth it down, and then I'm going to fold this shut and give it a little press. And things will self-correct because your glue is wet, so if it needs to, it will kind of slide this out of the way. And then I'm going to repeat that for this one here. So I'm going to put my glue on. And these don't really have an up and down. I'm just choosing them to put them on with the black this way and the stitching towards the middle. You can put yours on either way. Both are correct. All right, so we've got that lined up, and then I'm going to give that a fold and a press. And everything is looking really good there. So let's go to the front, and the last thing we need to add is our little bureau emblem. So this is just going to go right on the front, centered up, so that we know this is official and on the up and up. Standard issue field kit. And I'm just going to pop that in like that. Now I'm going to take this and put it to the side to dry. And now we can work on our ephemera pieces. A couple of pieces don't need anything done. The containment pattern is as is. It's already printed on the back side, as well as the instructions sheet. This one here with the protective token. That one is also printed on the back side. So those are already done. We have all of our little fussy cuts here, and these are going to glue back to back so that they are double-sided. So we have our chalk. I'm just going to get a little glue on there, and these should line up back to back. Same with the salt. Just a quick little swizzle of glue, and then I'll get the back of that on. And finally, we have our protective token, protective charm, and that is also glued back to back. Everything we need to protect ourselves in the field while handling cursed objects and curios and antiquities. Now we have 3 of these cards. All 3 of these are just going to fold in half the long way, and you're going to match those little tabs up, give them a crease, and then glue. So we've got the 2 classifications. This is all the different ways you can classify our cursed objects based on what they do. So that might be a fun read for you. And then we've got the instructions card for the salt and the chalk, and that is also going to fold in half. And all of these are just going to be glued back to back. So I like to go around the edge, get up into the tab, and then do a quick swizzle of glue up the middle. If you're using a glue stick, then you can just use that glue stick all over the surface, and then you end up with a double-sided card like this. So go ahead and glue all 3 of these back to back. All right, and I have completed mine, and now we're ready to put everything into the field kit. So you'll want to be sure this is dry before tucking things into the pockets, or else you might glue something into a pocket. We're going to start with the classification cards. Those are going to slide under the band at the top, and they should both fit right next to each other. If you find they're overlapping and that bothers you, you can take your bone folder or your scissors and go under the band and give that a little loosen. If they are too tight, then you can pull them out, and you can take your liquid glue and you can just lift this up and squirt just a little glue up under where you need to tighten it up. And be very careful with that. Just use just a tiny little bit, but you can kind of tighten up the band so things won't fall out. But those are both going to go under there. And then at the bottom, we've got our tall instructions card for the token. That's going to slide up into this top pocket along with the containment pattern. And then our instructions for the salt and chalk are going to go here in the next pocket. And at the bottom, all of our little fussy cuts tuck right into the bottom. And with that done, I'm going to go ahead and add this project to my Cursed Antiquities box kit. If you enjoy guided projects like this one, then I think you'll love Cursed Antiquities, which is a beginner-friendly collection of 14 projects that tell a story. If you'd like to learn more, you can watch the full-length Cursed Antiquities video linked in the description down below. You'll also find a link to my Etsy shop if you'd like to pick up the kit and craft along with me. As always, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next video.